We'll move on to the next one now, and I'll start with Nick because you started with Isaac last one. Nick, is it okay to be fat?
No, it's gross. And I sympathize, okay, because I'm gaining weight at a rapid pace. I like to eat, okay? I like eating. I hate working out. I hate exerting myself. So I say it, you can't really call me a hypocrite because I'm getting there, and I struggle to stop the trend. No, but it goes along with everything else we've been saying. It really is a fundamental question of what do we consider moral behavior? Because there seems to be a consensus these days. It's like this Reddit mentality. It's like a very compassionate mentality. People say, as long as you're not hurting somebody, it's fine. And harm is kind of like, hey, keep your hands and feet to yourself. Don't be mean. Don't be a jerk. As long as you're not doing that, you're a good person. And I think that the things that harm ourselves are immoral. I think there's a whole category of things like that. I think that, those sexual behaviors like we were talking about before that are not pointed toward their natural end are immoral. I think overeating, gluttony, laziness, sloth, I think those are immoral things. I think we would all feel in our heart of hearts, there's something wrong if we're not being productive. And we know somewhere deep down that work is good. When we don't work, we feel bad. When people are working around us, but we're not, we feel guilty. Why is that? We have a conscience. We have an objective sense of morality that's baked into the cake. And that's because we know that work and toil and productivity are good and the opposite is bad. Same goes for things like waste. We feel an inherent guilt when we waste food. Why is that? It's something that's immoral. It's not necessarily hurting somebody else, but we can all recognize it's not a good thing. And the same goes for being decadent, overindulgent, obese. The big scam is people say obesity is caused by some other thing. It's caused by eating too much. It's caused by a lack of discipline. People say, they got big bones or something. I think there's a lot of shit in the foods we're not supposed to eat. But if you get fat, it's probably because you're eating too much, and that's a sin. So we need people to stop eating, stop the snacking, stop drinking the sugary drinks, stop grazing all the time. Got to get up and move, get active, stop being such a fat piece of shit. That's kind of my view on the whole thing. And I think it's immoral.
Who has a rebuttal? Does anyone think that it's okay to be fat? Go ahead, Isaac.
Okay, I don't agree. I agree with Nick a lot on this. I do not think that it's okay to be physically unhealthy. However, where my opinion differs, and I'm just assuming. I don't eat it. You didn't say it, but I don't think we should demonize people for being physically unhealthy. I think there are productive ways to stir people into a physically healthy life that doesn't involve shaming them and making them feel any worse than they already are.
Stop with this fucking weak mindset, okay? Let's stop getting offended by everything. You can change your body. If you feel offended because someone calls you fat when you're fat, you can change that, okay? And you can choose how to react to it. We tried being nice. It doesn't work. You know what it came out of it? Fat acceptance movement. That's what came out of it, for being nice. So snap out of it. It's not that deep. You can change your body.
Physically unhealthy, but I don't think the solution to that is to shame people. And also obesity and being fat can be caused by factors that aren't controlled by the person that is that way. I just wanted to add that. It's a rarity, but those situations still happen. So that's how I feel about it.
Hey, before Nick responds, anybody else, is it okay to be fat? Chrissy, do you have anything, or Jazz, go ahead.
I think there's a difference between unhealthy and immoral. And I don't think, like Nick always talks about, we have this inherent thing that we just know it's unhealthy or we know it's immoral. And I think like earlier you brought up like, there's like things like math. Well, there's a consensus on math. Clearly your moral framework is not shared by a lot of people. It's by the majority of people in our country. And so if it's so inherent that we should all just know it because it's just within us, it seems like it's only a small percentage of people that have the thing you're talking about where we just inherently feel that someone eating donuts is so immoral. It's not happening.
Heaven, do you have anything? Is it okay to be fat?
Personally, I feel like it is okay to be fat in terms of just looks. If somebody is personally comfortable and confident that way, then, 2 thumbs up to them. Is it okay to be unhealthy? No. However, I do feel like what Nick is kind of getting at has more to do with a person's it has more to do with just being negative and like trying to tear them down and not really health. Because sometimes if a person has weight on them, it's not really because they're unhealthy. It may be like Isaac said, they may have personal like health issues that they're going through. So
And also,
that's my
like, fat is subjective because a lot of beauty
Wow.
standards have changed over time.
Wow.
I remember, like, the women that we call thick and curvy these days, they were labeled fat back in the day. So it's also really subjective about being fat. And as long as somebody's comfortable in their own skin, I think it's okay. But I'm not going to like enable, physical unhealthy behavior. But I'm not going to shame or demonize them the way you guys do. That's my personal opinion.
Well, I don't want to demonize. I don't think they're demonic. I don't think fat people are demonic. I just don't want to see them. I don't want to see them around. I think there's, it is the picture of being unhealthy when you're obese. People don't like to look at it for a reason. There's a reason that, super fat people are not in high demand, in the dating market or something like that. We don't like it because it's not beautiful. It's not beautiful because it's not good. It's not beautiful because it's not healthy. And I think that, as far as shame is concerned, I think shame is extremely important, because people, we know people and we know ourselves. If we don't have positive and negative incentives, we will do the path of least resistance. We will do what we want. We'll do what is easiest. And something like food, we all love to eat. Food tastes good. It's abundant. It's plentiful. It's something that we like to do. If there's not a powerful motivator, like shame or fear of judgment or things like that, I think it does actually lead more people to engage in that. And I think it's not for their benefit. So it's almost like you look at a person who's fat. Now, a person that's fat has a lot of problems. They're probably going to die. They have a lot of like health complications. Also, people don't really want to be around that. Are we really going to vilify the shaming? And what's better for the person? If they're shamed but they're skinny, or they're not shamed, but they're fat? I think it's better if they're shamed and they're skinny. I think that's better for them. I think that's better for society. And we have to kind of get away from this like oversensitivity. People are like wild animals. If left to their own devices, they will destroy themselves and others. I think meanness is actually kind of a prerequisite for society. Yeah. And by the way, we know this with other things. When people are like racist, when people are whatever, the kinds of things you guys don't like, you have no problem shaming them. You have no problem being mean, even in some ways, not necessarily you guys in particular. I'm speaking broadly, even being a little bit hypocritical towards so-called racist or sexist or whatever. So I don't think anybody disagrees with the tactics. Everybody knows that. It's just a question of what do you think is wrong? And I think that on some level, people want to tolerate fatness because people are more tolerant of weakness, decadence, selfishness than they are of meanness or cruelty or other things like that. And I just think that's I think that's imbalanced.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Burnout, and then I want to hear from...
Didn't you just...
one second,
I'm sorry
Burnout.
to ask another question.
No, Burnout. Before you ask a question, I want to hear your response before you change the subject. So we'll hear from Burnout. Okay. Then I want to hear from Christine. I want to hear from Cheyenne. You have not been participating.
All right. So I don't think it's a crime to be fat. Fat people aren't harming people. Like, you want to say you don't like seeing them, but you just admitted that you sympathize because you're becoming fat. It's not really mixing in the pot together.
I know, and I hate myself. I look in the mirror, I see my fat face, and I'm like, damn, you're getting fat.
So do you really have the sympathy? Because you can't sit here and call fat people disgusting while being one, because that just gives hypocritical. You just sound hypocritical.
It's giving guilty. It's giving guilt.
It's giving what?
It's giving guilt. I look at my fat face in the mirror and I'm like, I'm so fat. I need to get skinny. That's good. People call me fat. It hurts my feelings, but it motivates me. Then when I go to Dunkin' Donuts, I'm like,
do you feel like you're hurting anyone by being fat? Do you feel like you're physically hurting anyone by being fat?
I'm offending the audience. If I'm fat, I offend the audience.
You shouldn't think that way about yourself, man. You need
no, because I don't think what you equated it to is the same. And you know this, you know that.
It depends on your look. Some fat people can pull it off. They have like a kind of jolly demeanor. They're kind of, some people look a little better that way.
Body. I feel like we shouldn't speak on other people's bodies, especially if we don't know what's going on with them. You're more than valid to speak on yours. And if you're admitting to being embarrassed about getting fat and in the same breath belittling fat people, you're just saying that you hate yourself.
I hate that I'm getting fat. I do. And everyone should want to be healthy. Everyone should want these things, and we should encourage them to be. I want everyone to be the best that they can be. And I don't think we should be like cruel. I am against cruelty, but I do think, you know, if there's shame involved, if people feel bad for being fat, I don't think that's a bad thing. And there's a big difference between cruelty. I don't believe in cruelty. I don't believe in meanness. I don't think I'm a particularly mean person, but I do think that, you know, when society says this is good, this is bad, when people don't measure up, I think it does cause, you know, negative feelings. But I don't think negative feelings are always bad. I think it's like pain. Pain isn't bad. If you get shot in the head, you know, it hurts because you have a problem. In the same way, not often, not all the time, but if you feel negative emotion, a lot of the times it's because you need to make a change. And I feel like the left in general, they want to remedy all bad feelings, all negative feelings. They want to create an environment where everyone's super sensitive. And then when the outcomes are terrible, they care less about that. They care more about everybody feeling better than, for example, them being healthy. And in that sense, they're doing a disservice to people when they say, you're beautiful. It's like, you know, if a fat person's in front, it's like, you're not beautiful. You're not doing them any favors by telling them that there's nothing wrong with them, because there is. And, it, you know, we don't have to be cruel about it, but.
What about when someone has like acne? Should we like shame them? Because it could be for like a hormonal issue, which a lot of people that are bigger have hormonal issues or some type of genetic predisposition to it. Do you just go around and if someone's like ugly or has acne or just is not pleasurable to look at, you just think that's the response?
Well, but acne's different. Acne is not something that is directly caused by your lifestyle.
So now you can acknowledge that it's different.
It can be.
In some cases,
in some cases, acknowledge, right?
And in some cases, weight is not directly dictated by your lifestyle. Like people have hormonal issues and medical issues. It is true.
You see a lot of like morbidly obese people that are starving to death.
No, but there are sometimes like hormonal issues, like thyroid issues. Like my aunt has it, and she works out all the time, and she's really healthy, but she just puts on a lot of weight because her thyroid. So people can have these issues that can also cause acne. There's many underlying factors that can lead to what someone looks like on the outside. And so I feel like either you have to make fun of everyone for everything, you're ugly, you're short, you have acne, or you need to understand that you don't necessarily know why a person looks a particular way.
I think we do kind of do that. I think we do kind of do that anyway. And I think that, you know, some people are more comfortable with some things than other things. You know, it's like, it's a classic example. You know, women will say, well, we don't like short men. We don't like weak men. We don't like men that aren't facially attractive. But then you go, okay, we don't like fat women. They go, what the how could you say that? She's crying. That's terrible. It's like, I think the world's a pretty cruel place. And I think that obesity, ironically, it's one of the ones that is most correlated, because you're right, in some cases, there are people that have a extenuating circumstance. I think in a lot of cases, it is overeating. Generations ago, there weren't as many fat people. And if you look around the world, in different countries, it varies tremendously. I think it is owing a lot to diet and exercise, you know, more so than some, you know, certainly acne, height, these other things you're pointing out, those are almost completely uncontrollable. And in the case of something like acne or bad skin, that is something, I think, less so than obesity that can be attributable to lifestyle. We all know if you see somebody with a super greasy face and greasy hair and they have bad complexion, it's like, okay, that guy doesn't shower. That's different than someone who just has it, you know, because of hormones, because they're an adolescent or something.
Isaac,
but
go ahead.
we'd say take a shower.
Yeah, but just like what Jasmine was saying, she could go after me. But exactly what Jasmine was saying, there are like underlying things that, you know, cause somebody to be like socioeconomic status too. There are like people in food deserts where they have no opportunity or no other options but to eat, you know, bad food. So there are people that are put in positions where they can't help the way they look. And I agree, it's physically unhealthy and it's not good for them, but there needs to be a more productive way to lean them towards getting healthy. Like, you know, We could provide more programs to help, people who are socioeconomically disadvantaged to, get healthier. But calling somebody fat and saying you're ugly, I don't want to look at you. These people generally are already feeling bad about themselves, and you're just putting them down even further. So, and when someone gets put down, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where they don't want to get better because they already view the world as against them. So I don't think your way of dealing with that, it will be productive. It would actually lead to more self-pity and more obese people, if I'm being quite honest.
Christine, go ahead. Is it okay to be fat?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, there's all of the TikTokers and like the binge eaters that I see that they're like, what I eat in a day, and they're eating like thousands of calories a day. A lot of those are skinny people. So I feel like that energy should also be directed towards them because like they're the ones that are eating unhealthily, but since they aren't able to gain a lot of weight or they have fast metabolisms, like no one really cares. But then like a fat woman or a fat man will be eating a salad or TikTok and they're getting roasted for that. So yeah, like you see a fat person in the gym and they're getting made fun of. So like how can they get better if they're just? But I know that's the truth of it and that's what's going to happen regardless. But yeah, I think there's a double standard there.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane what she's saying. Like, if you're skinny, you can eat a lot because you're skinny. But if you see an obese person eating a lot, it's clearly a routine for them. Okay? It's clearly something they do all the time and they should stop. Okay? It's not the same. Why are these people so delusional?
And there's, of course, like Cushing's syndrome, there's PCOS and like syndromes and diseases that people like they can't help but to gain weight like during that, like medications and stuff like that. So
and they always bring up these exceptions that is like 1 or 2% of obese people.
And do you have anything? Is it okay to be fat?
It's okay to be fat, but I don't think it's okay to be unhealthy. Some people cannot control that they're fat, or sometimes it's genetics, or sometimes they go to a doctor and be like, hey, you're gonna start gaining weight. And sometimes when you get older, things stretches and you can't control your weight and it's gonna get as harder. But being unhealthy is not okay, because as she just said, you see people on TikTok, they just gobbling that thing, gobbling. But some of them have fast metabolism versus you'll see somebody who's plus size, they're eating like a healthy meal and they're making fun of. I don't think that's okay that they get shamed.
I eat horribly and everything goes into my ass and titties and I just make more money on OnlyFans.
Okay,
so
we don't need to talk about OnlyFans. This is a different subject completely.
It's crazy. Some people just reject reality. Guys, let me know in the comments what you think. If you agree or disagree. Leave a like if you want to. Christ is King and God bless you.